Hello Factorio people, welcome back to the broadcasts. Episode 2, where we're playing Krastorio in a time-lapse format. Last time we did some basic stuff at the start. This time we're going to expand, not considerably further, but definitely a lot further. And we'll get to talk about Krastorio 2 on the way. So let's jump right into it, shall we? And here we are. I've set up some rudimentary smelting with some buffers and some assembly machines to hand feed so that I can get stuff that I want. Krastorio, as I said before, uses tech cards instead of science bottles, and it kind of spreads the tech out a little bit more over these cards, to the point where the first two cards are it's feasible to do these hand-fed. There's a lot more of a requirement on intermediates in Krastorio, I feel like. They've added beams to the iron, there's iron beams as well. And then you need gears and sticks to make inserter parts, which you need to make inserters. It moves electronic circuits away from the early game. So with some basic hand feeding stuff here, you can do important things. Just throw iron into these machines and then use these machines to make your early hand feeding stuff. Can imagine trying to do Krastorio 2 and Lazy Bastard at the same time would be quite annoying. Anyway, so we're basically just trying to rush. So I say rush. We're not rushing at all. Who am I trying to kid? We're just getting some of the basic tech card researches out of the way. Greenhouses is what I want. Greenhouses will get us wood, which will get us it'll get us basically everything we need to start. What was that? Basically everything we need to start getting some proper base bus stuff going. Nothing too much crazy going on here. Copper is still going in the burner mining drills, but we're gonna tear all this down. Cool. Alright, let's move on slightly, shall we? The smelting. The bus. The bus has started. The boiler energy ratio thing is the same in Krastorio. 20 boilers, 40 steam engines. So we just bring a coal and iron and copper down to the base. I've pre-built a base plan on my preferred Factorio calculator, factoriolab.github.io. And it's quite interesting actually. Wow, research is ploughing through. It's ploughing through. So I've built a plan for 60 tech cards per minute. It's kind of hard to do too much of a plan with Krastorio because, as you'll see, the tech tree cards come in and then they come out again. So your basic tech take you all the way through to green, and then there's no tech that needs both basic and military cards. There's also no tech that needs basic and blue cards. So if you make a plan and you say I want 60 science per minute of these cards, that's all well and good. But you have to obviously factor in that the basic tech cards are going to go, so you can't really count those in your plan, which is fine because they only need They basically don't need anything, they just need wood and copper cable, so you can kind of ignore those from the plan. And then space sciences optimization tech, which is up to here. Which kind of goes in and out as well. It's very strange, basically. It's hard to make a plan, and because you're never ever gonna just have 60 of all the cards being made all the time. But nevertheless, I have made a plan for 60 cards per minute of red, green, blue, purple, yellow, and space, which is obviously basically the same as the vanilla games tech cards. So this will take us all the way through to rocket launchers, which is, I want to say, halfway through Krastorio 2. That may be an underestimation, maybe an overestimation, I don't know. So with some light productivity modules in some machines as well, we get some pretty interesting numbers here. 2 red belts of iron, of which a quarter of that goes to steel, 2 red belts of copper, stone into sand, glass, not even 1 red belt of green circuits, 20% of a belt of red circuits, barely any blue circuits. You know, like, as there are a lot more intermediates in Krastorio 2, becomes less relevant for, you know, like obviously in vanilla Factorio there's a huge requirement for these items here, and your whole production line is basically just making these items here and steel. In Krastorio you have electronic components which take some of the weight off of that, so you need more electronic components than you need, at least according to my calculator. You need more electronic components than you need green circuits, according to what I've thrown in here. So the bus might look a bit sparse. I'm only going to do 2 lanes of iron, and I'm actually going to put steel on the bus rather than doing a dedicated smelting stack for steel, and you'll see why a bit later on. So I've left space here to put this down 4 times, because also in Krastorio 2 iron makes 1 plate. So even though this is outputting, this can smelt an entire lane of iron ore, it will only output half a lane of iron. So I've got room here to do this 4 times. I can do the copper 4 times down here. That will give us our 2 lanes of copper, 2 lanes of iron for the bus, and we can basically take it from there. And then once we get to space science, we can think a little bit more about expanding into megabase territory. Yeah. And then the first thing I've put on the bus here is just a little rudimentary setup to make inserter parts and automation cores so that I can handcraft things as I need them. Mining drills need automation cores, inserters need inserter parts and automation cores, etc, etc. So, cool. Let's move on slightly. The smelting area has begun to expand. Glass needs to go on the bus, because glass goes into electronic components, which we just said was a fairly decent chunk of the bus. You also need glass to make these greenhouses, you need greenhouses to make wood, you need wood to make green circuits. I'm being attacked. Oh god. Biters have basically been a non-issue. I feel a bit bad that I turned the base size down and the frequency down. Basically playing with the biters off. That's not strictly true, obviously you just saw one. You literally just saw a biter. But base defense is not going to be the focus of this, but I do want the biters on because... well, you'll see. You will see. Stone and stone bricks. Let's look at FNEI. Stone. Stone goes into sand, and you need sand to make things for the bus, for sure. But stone itself obviously goes into stone bricks, goes into furnaces. There's an advanced recipe for components which we won't look at for now because it needs advanced assembling stuff, so we don't have that. Landfill, rails. Rails no longer go into anything. I'm right-clicking here. In FNEI that will show you things that this goes into. Rails don't go into anything. You can make rocks and stuff, and matter, which we obviously don't need to talk about. So you don't actually need to bust stone in Krastorio 2. What about stone bricks though? Stone bricks go into walls. Walls go into nothing. Nothing basically means you can crush it. It goes into a crusher and nothing comes out. You can't even put rails into a crusher. That's interesting. I guess it would jam the mechanism. Walls, concrete. Concrete goes into some basic mall type stuff. Electric furnaces, bricks go into electric furnaces, they go into oil refineries, they go into steel furnaces. So again, you don't even need to bust bricks. But I want a stockpile of bricks so that I can make concrete and things that stone bricks need to go into on demand. But I'm not going to bust them. I recently did a... Let's tidy these edges up. I recently finally did There Is No Spoon. Which taught me some interesting lessons in the value of buffers and handcrafting and hand-feeding assemblers and things like that. It's been on my to-do list for a long time and I just never thought that I would be able to do it, but I finally sat down and managed to do it. I wouldn't say easily. I think at the 6-hour mark I thought I was going to fail, and then I did it at 7 hours, so I was like, oh, clearly I don't know anything. I didn't follow a guide either, I did it myself, so I'm actually quite proud of myself. Anyway, so that's why, if you're coming from vanilla, that's why stone and bricks aren't going on the bus. That's my explanation for that. I'm going to basically frame everything in terms of vanilla, which does seem a bit odd to, you know, rather than just doing Krastorio on its merits. We'll get to merit later. Merit comes later. Let me just explain for now why things might look a bit different to you, to one. Alright, cool. Let's jump forward a little bit more in time, shall we? Okay, the bus expands. Steel. I feel like there's a lot I want to say about steel. I moved the greenhouses, they were in the way. And I still never connected these up. That's hilarious. So to make steel, it's not just a simple case of smelting iron anymore. You need to smelt iron, of course, but specifically with coke, which you need to make with wood and coal. So you need wood on the bus, at least for the coke and for the green circuits. And the basic tech cards. After that, you can get rid of wood from the bus. Coke takes 6 wood, 6 coal, and makes 6 coke. So you're adding the burnable fuel value of wood, 1.25 megajoules, with coal, 6 megajoules. But you get out of that coke with a fuel value of 10 megajoules. So it's 1.25 plus 6. So you're using 7.25 megajoules of product to get 10 megajoules out. So I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, why not just turn all your coal into coke? Turn all the coal into coke here and feed that down into these furnaces and use that instead. That is a good idea. It is annoying though, because you have to... I really should put lights down. I really should remember, or I might just install Afraid of the Dark, so that, because, you know, I must remember I'm making these videos for YouTube and not just me, who sits in the dark most of the time anyway. To make the coke, you have to have coal, obviously. There was something else. I've forgotten my train of thought completely. Too busy thinking about lights. Yes. Yeah, why not just only have coal on here, especially feeding the coal to the furnaces as well, like, and that is correct. You're not wrong to think that. I just don't do it. I don't even think I really have a good answer for you, to be honest. If your coal runs out, then you don't smell anything. Which is, I guess, is true anyway. If your coal runs out and it's coming down here, you don't smell anything. If your wood runs out, I suppose, is more likely for these to suddenly not be keeping up. So just build enough wood. I think it mostly comes down to the fact that you don't need that much steel in this mod. So really, coke only needs to worry about going into steel. Oh, it goes into beta research data as well. But you do need coal on the bus. That's the other thing. That's the other key issue. Coal is an ingredient in rifle magazines, which is, you know, fine, whatever. Explosives, which go into a lot of things. Grenades, whatever. Plastic bars, of course. So you need the coal on the bus anyway. So I guess, really, ultimately, it's a personal preference. This obviously just looks a lot easier. You just mine the coal directly and throw it into the thing. Like, I guess maybe if you were playing on a slightly different combination of settings, where you're not too worried about coal running out, you would do it like this. If you were running settings where your coal is a key resource, you would do it the other way around. You've also got to remember that this process creates pollution as well. And I believe the coke outputs more pollution. Fuel pollution 225% versus the coal's. Oh, it's actually less polluting. Yeah, I think basically I'm incorrect here. I think really a smarter person would definitely use the coke in the furnaces as well. Make some coke here, probably. Put some coal on the bus for plastic, but mostly just use coke for all of the smelting. And then do a steel array, as you know. But whatever, I've done it like this. I've done it like this. Time will tell. I can always tear it down. Circuits. Circuits are a slightly different ratio in this. It's actually 1:2. So you can see there the rank calculator is saying that that's all fine. And a little buffer for circuits. Alright, we've got everything we need actually on the bus now to fully do all the science for quite a long time. So let's get that done. Spaghetti. Spaghetti is here. Basic tech cards, wood and copper cables, automation tech cards, automation cores, and blank tech cards. Everything above basic tech cards also need this recipe, the blank tech cards, which need iron and copper cables. So wherever you make science, you have to also make these. You could bust these, I suppose. I'm not a huge fan of doing that, because if they run out in one place, they run out everywhere. And they're so cheap, you may as well just make them on site. Maybe that's wrong as well, I don't know. We'll see. And then logistics tech cards need electronic circuits and iron gear wheels, which of course are not too strenuous either. So we can research a lot of things. We can get up to military, we can get up to blue, we can get modules going. We can in fact research everything that needs basic tech cards, and then we can get rid of basic tech cards forever after this, which is just a simple case of removing this, and then we've got the space there to expand the green circuits afterwards. I expanded this into a extremely basic mall. Just output some of the inserter parts and automation cores into this little build, which just I was bored of making the inserters basically. Every now and then I throw some excess coal into here to get some rifle magazines. Biters. I've cleared some nests out from the pollution cloud. There were some. When you go and fight the biters, they actually leave creep on the ground. I should have left one, really, to show you. But they leave creep on the ground, which you have to collect with this tool. And that gets you biomass, which is an ingredient in military tech. I'm not researching anything. So if you don't have the biters on at all, you get hard locked from finishing the tech tree, which is fine, because if you don't have the biters on, you don't need those things, but then they just stay on the tech tree forever. So you are incentivized with Krastorio to keep the biters on if you want your tech tree to be complete. There is an option in the mod to say, well, I'm playing on peaceful, but I still want to research the military stuff. And it turns the recipes into more like vanilla recipes, you know, grenades and machine guns and stuff like that go into the cards. But we may as well play with the biters on. They're not much of a threat. And there's a lot more things we can do in Krastorio to get that done. Right. Here was a nest. Or maybe some worms. Just some worms, maybe. Okay. Let's open the milestone, shall we? 3 hours and 23 minutes, and I got the green tech cards going. It's not too bad, is it? I think I'm actually overproducing cards. 6 machines. You'll notice as well that the ratios are always the same. All the recipes have the same, except for blank tech cards, obviously. 5 cards in 20 seconds. They're always the same. I think that's true up until blue and up until purple and yellow, but that's only because they go in different machines. You can't build them in assembly machines forever. You need a specific research lab machine to build them, and that has a different crafting speed. So yes, it's always 6 of each machine. So on assembly machine Mark 1s with their half speed crafting speed, we're currently making 45. My calculator is set for 6 machines, assembly machine Mark 2s, which will be 60 cards per minute with some productivity modules in them. I think, something like that. I don't know. I just asked the calculator to sort it out for me. I don't do any real thinking, do I? No, the calculator sorts it out. Who am I kidding? Okay. How long was that? 25 minutes. That's not bad. It's kind of hard to tell when you're playing and making periodic save files how long it's going to take you to talk about these things. A smarter person would record each segment individually and then edit them in some software, but you know. So I'll just leave this science plowing along, and then in the next episode we can look at bringing some oil into the base and looking at military and blue tech stuff. That'll get us a decent chunk of the way down the tree. Wow, yeah. We can get that sorted. Right, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please let me know with a like or a comment, and if you want to see more Factorio/Krastorio content, be sure to subscribe. Other than that, I'll see you next time. Bye bye.